in New York in the summer most of the time.
Oh, I see.
But this year we are in the summer in New York.
I see. Very good. Very good.
So,
So I believe we are live right now. It's always a guessing game. I'm sorry. I really thought I was technically advanced, but this pandemic made me realize that I'm not, perhaps. It humbled me. It really did. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to Maestro's Corner. My name is Domenico Boyagian, music director of Cleveland Opera Theater, and today we have two incredible musicians, not just friends, but musicians. Maestro Jorge Parodi and Maestro, you are a Maestro too, Howard Watkins. Welcome, guys.
hi guys.
Oh, hi.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. This is I'm so glad to get you here at the same time. You're super busy, and I like to describe you as one of those music power couples because you do everything and everybody knows you, but most importantly, every time your name is mentioned, people just smile and they have good memories and they have always wonderful things to say. Always
Thank you.
wonderful things to say. And so, thank you. Thank you for making it happen.
Thank you.
Uh, Jorge, you and I know from my days at Manhattan School of Music.
Manhattan School. Sorry, it's kind of noisy. Yes, we did. We did a couple of seasons together at Manhattan School. So,
That's right. That's right. Tell us all your titles. You are many things,
so
aren't you?
I'm the music director for the Senior Opera Theater at Manhattan School of Music, and, and I'm the music director of opera in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I'm a coach at the Juilliard School, and I do freelance conducting
Yeah.
in other regional uh, companies.
Yes, sir. How about you, Howard? You are on staff at the Met, aren't you?
Yes, I'm on staff at the Met. I'm pianist and repetiteur, assistant conductor at the Met. And I just finished my first year on faculty at Juilliard School, actually, also.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
It was a lot of fun. That was
What are
very
you teaching? Are you coaching? Are you teaching?
coaching,
Okay.
working with singers. And I just had a couple of hours a week this year, but I'll have a little bit more next season also. Uh, if, you know, the big if.
Of course.
And yeah, it's been rewarding and a lot of fun to do both of those things. I'm
Wonderful.
full time at the Met, so makes for a busy schedule, but well worth it.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I'm just curious to be in your household and see how many hours you are not at home. This is what I
But
would be.
now since March, we spend quite a bit of
It's
time
true.
in the house.
It's true.
but
It's
usually we are away quite a bit.
That's true.
Certainly in during the day when we are even when we're in New York, but we spend a lot of time out of the city, and
Yeah.
usually our summers are abroad or in a different locations. And unfortunately, this summer, all the projects were canceled or transformed into online versions, so we are doing it online.
Yeah, we all have to learn new skills, I guess. Uh, First of all, what I always like to ask, the reason why we are doing this and not in the same room is because of what's going on these days. Are you healthy? Are you safe? How are you doing? Are you home right now?
Yes, we are home. I'm in the bedroom. Jorge's in the living room,
Oh, I
and
promised that I was going to do an appearance
Oh,
and
a
have
magic trick?
keep talking. Yeah.
A magic trick. Tell us, Howard.
oh, it's going to be amazing, a magic trick. Yes. Ma guarda chi è.
Oh, è una magia.
Oh,
Una
we
magia. Wow. Una
just
magia.
we just wanted to show more of the apartment. That's why we did it too. See you
Are you
later.
selling soon?
See you on the other screen.
Yeah. Now I forgot the question, Domenico.
No, if you're safe, you're
Yeah.
home, but you're safe and healthy, and
Yes. Yes. Doing very well. We've been more than careful. I mean, I think we were wearing masks really quite early on,
Good.
and wearing masks and gloves. We rarely go out of the apartment. Go for groceries or
Yeah.
to the store or whatever, just a little bit. Lots of online ordering. Oh my goodness, we've single-handedly kept Amazon and Fresh Direct, Hello Chef, Blue Apron, all of those in business. So,
I bet. I bet. So,
but it's been actually quite rewarding, and I, I've enjoyed finding new ways to express myself artistically. I've gotten a lot into recording, gotten a mic, gotten some lights, and just found new ways to make videos. And in making those tracks and videos, have actually been able to improve my playing, I think, and find new ways to listen and make things happen.
yeah, exactly. So, what do you think? Because it's very difficult to find improvement, needing improvement in both of you.
Hmm.
So, do you feel like you actually improved in which area? What did you learn how to do these days?
One thing that I found that it was interesting in this recording session is that we usually play and we prepare for the performance, but the recording, you get the little obsessive recording attitude, that everything has to be just perfect,
Yeah.
note perfect, and the perfect timing and the Purcell feeling.
Well, it's also
So
part of what we do, right? Being perfectionists.
right. So I find myself recording the same 3 minutes 25 times because there's always something wrong. So it's made me think, oh, interesting how how much detailing you had to put into a recording that normally a live performance you go more for of a well, let's see what happened
Yeah.
situation. And this is because it's a recording, then you get, and because really it's only one person at a time, then you have the luxury of time to do it many times. So that certainly was the biggest difference of things that
Yeah, it
just
seems
mentioned.
like during live performances, there's that excuse that it's live, but it's not really the excuse. Adrenaline takes over. There's a mistake every once in a while, but no one cares. I mean, they are there for the experience of music, being in the moment and just feeling things,
Right.
right? Howard, are you more technologically advanced than before?
Yes, I've always been a little bit of a techie. I'm interested in tech type stuff, but
Mm.
just getting more into the specifics of doing stuff with GarageBand and microphones and all this kind of stuff has been kind of fun. I also, just because of the nature of the way we've had to do it, with usually it involves some communication with the singer to figure out kind of how they want the piece to go.
Yeah.
Then we make a track, but in our making a track, we have to give some consideration to their breathing and the focus and the different ways we've both Jorge and I have explored that has made me I feel just get much more connected to singer breathing. I mean, I think we're pretty darn connected to it anyway, but now having to prepare that ahead of time, you realize, oh my gosh, if they're not right there in my ear inspiring me, I sometimes am hesitant to do it. So I feel like coming out of this, it's going to make me a better musician in that way.
Yeah.
Just being way more sensitive to how much time things take and not pushing on the singers.
Yeah. Earlier, we were discussing with Jorge the finale of Figaro that I did a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
and probably that was one of the more difficult things I had to do, and not technically, not musically, but I was conducting for no one. There's no music in the background. There was no piano.
Mhm.
And not only you have to imagine all the sounds, but you have to imagine the breathing, the pauses,
Right.
the whatever is involved to help people make it happen. And it's not, as you both know, it's not just about waving arms.
Right.
It's everything else besides waving arms. So I totally understand what you say, especially the breathing. I personally on stage, I see it. I see it happen because in the diaphragm and the mouth, you hear it, right? You're constantly hearing it.
Yeah.
And you have your ear tuned to that, I think.
Yes.
Right
Yes.
now.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we did with the tracks that we've been making for our Japan Gala, which is one thing we're working on right now. Jorge, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but we often sent a track to the singers with that kind of preparation. Singers sang on top of it. Then when we got it back, we often ended up making another performance underneath to try to preserve real naturalness in the singing. What I hadn't liked of some earlier tracks I did and some other things I've heard is sometimes it feels like the singer is pushed into a box because they're having to respond to what we did. So this way, we're able to come up with something that feels as close to natural as we can get.
I see.
And it's a lot of work, takes a lot of time, but I think it's well worth it.
It's reinventing the wheel. That's what frustrates me, because the wheel was invented and it works perfectly fine. Yeah. Now it's just about how do we do live performances not live?
Yeah.
How do we sing together? Because apparently we just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we had to do everything in steps, that adds such a different layer of everything. So
yeah,
we were recording the sextet from Lucia, and so then we had to figure out who will do it first, and then send that recording with the singer and the piano to the other singers so they can follow it. I had to do a track with me playing the vocal line, so the cadenzas it's together, and then I had to do another track without me playing the vocal lines. Then you had to coordinate, and
wow.
it was very interesting though.
I mean, all things that we never had to think about before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And those are really only like 3 or 4 minute pieces,
Yeah.
The idea of doing this for 3 hours will be, I don't know what's happening.
I know. Jorge, any notable performances that you did in the past couple of months that you're particularly proud of? It's difficult to pick one, but if you want to mention something.
The last performance I did before the pandemic was the Carmen Opera Tampa. It was really, really fun. It's a great show with a great cast and a great orchestra and beautiful production. So that was really great. It's a very nice company. And before that, several things, but there were 2 that were especially fun. One, Frida, the opera by Rodriguez, based on Frida Kahlo in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I did the translation, the adaptation of Figaro. It's called Figaro 9210. I did it in Chautauqua,
mm-hmm.
And that was very fun. I was skeptical at first with the idea of doing an adaptation of Figaro, because it is really an adaptation. It's not just a translation. There's a lot of modifications not only in the dialogues but in the recits and some of the ensembles. But it works really well. It's really funny. It's very relevant, and we had a great time. I mean, the audience loved it for a reason, and we love it too. It was really a fun experience overall.
Nice. Howard, last 5 years, one unbelievable production.
Last 5 years, whoa, okay. Oh, that's tough. Because you tend to remember the things that are more recent. Well,
you're right. Well, that was not a fair question, I guess.
No, it's fair.
You pick.
One thing that really just jumps right into my mind was working on Otello with Gustavo Dudamel. That was absolutely an amazing experience. I mean, the guy is just incredible. Loves music, transmits his love of music in every moment, in every rehearsal, every performance. It was just a great experience. That was a lot of fun. Also great working with Simon Rattle and Rosenkavalier this past season. Beautiful, beautiful cast.
You were the pianist for all of those rehearsals, weren't you?
Yes, but there's more than one pianist. There were three of us who
Okay.
played it. But what a great experience that was.
Wonderful.
That jumps to mind.
And you know, both of you, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like all of the great experiences I have, the great performances, let's put it that way, have to do first with the people that we work with. Somehow these people just are wonderful human beings, which make the performance totally worth it and bring it to another level.
Absolutely.
Don't you have to be a good person to be a good musician? That's always been my theory.
I'm not sure if you have to be, but certainly nowadays you have to be a very accommodating person and very team player to continue working in the field, because the competition is enormous, and no one's rehired someone that is complicated. So I think we are all aware of that, and so in my experience, everyone in the field is very, very accommodating and gung ho and really easygoing and positive and willing to try many things. From the directing team, I mean the directors and the conductors and the creators, but also the artists and the performers. So everyone is very very gentle and very open to everything these days. This idea of the divas, it's just not happening these days too much.
Yeah.
It never happened to me, but I think it's because we know when we are that everyone is trying to get rehired, so there's a huge offer and very little demand. So
yeah,
and I would add, I think we all know that the performances, I mean, that ends up being what, 20, 25, 30% maybe of the whole thing. The rest of it is the rehearsal process and the working in the room together, and we all want to have fun, same as everybody. So when it's people who are interested in loving music and collaborating and having a good time, that's what's great, and that's what I remember. That's why those particular experiences stick in my mind, because they were just plain fun, and the performances were great because everybody was happy, but the fun is what I remember.
yeah, and that always, what happens in the rehearsal always translates in the performance.
Yeah,
always, whether great relationships or not so great relationships, the performance either is going to suffer or benefit from it.
Right.
And that's been my experience, at least. So I don't want to ask you about the relevance of opera, because it's a question that I get all the time. To me, this is just my opinion. Opera is obviously relevant, as is a museum, a movie, music from NSYNC, or like anything that has to do with the artistic expression of the human soul. Okay, and on top of that, to me, opera is life, because who hasn't fallen in love in 30 seconds?
Right.
No one. You too, probably. What, 45 seconds? I mean, come on. There's birth, there's death, there's love, there is relationships on stage. It's probably the highest form of artistic expression, right? I want to talk about the relevance of regional opera houses.
Excuse me, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Go ahead. Of course. I'm gonna wait for him.
Yeah. Phone call. Let's stop that.
In my first Facebook Live, my son had the button for the doorbell, but since it's wireless, he had it upstairs. So he goes, ding, ding,
Oh no.
like 7 times. And he's not 3, he's 8. So I said, Simone, what were you doing? You know that I was downstairs doing that. So he goes, yeah, but there's a button. I push it.
Exactly. But that's
He had a point. He has a point. I understand.
I love it.
So I would like to talk to you about the relevance of regional opera houses. Jorge, you conduct in regional opera houses. Howard, you play in not regional opera house. To me, the word regional, to me, the word local has nothing to do with quality.
Right.
Because no matter where you are, whether it's San Francisco, LA Opera, or Cleveland, you can get the most amazing performance or not the most amazing performance.
Absolutely.
So are regional opera houses, let's start from Jorge, are regional opera houses important? Do they or do we always have to look up to go to these big cities and hear these famous singers and famous conductors?
The good thing of opera is, like any classical music, is that it's live performance. I mean, we're talking about not being live now, but the core of what we do is a live performance. So the opportunity of going to see an opera in your hometown, whatever that is a treasure that everyone should cherish, but also encourage. So I think the value of being in the theater and watch a full production of any opera, it's an amazing experience. It's always very rewarding, and the audience get a lot out of it. So wherever you are, the more opportunities you have to experience live performance, the better. So larger cities obviously have more audience and more support, so their production values may have a little larger quality because their budget is bigger. But wherever you are, you should encourage any kind of group that is producing live performances, and that includes like operas. In our Williamsburg company, we have Williamsburg is a very famous town because it's historically so relevant.
Historically,
but it's actually a small town in terms of audience. Yet we have a very successful company that is creating beautiful productions with amazing cast, and I think I'm very happy with the results that we achieve, and it is a consistent comment that the audience loves the idea of being close to the performers and to experience a live performance, to see the singers, to see the orchestra, to see the people making it happen is an amazing experience. So I think, again, we should all encourage our communities to keep producing performances, be it opera, recitals, concerts, symphonic concerts, any of those.
So in other words, is what you gain from it, but being part of it by experiencing it. It's the experience that we are talking about.
It's the opportunity to be in a theater and experience a live performance. And as you said before, opera is an amazing art form. We all love it. I think it has storytelling, it has music, it has visual element, it has human voice, it has orchestral playing. So you have everything. I think the story is the key point of it. The singing and the story is what makes opera especially attractive. But to have the opportunity to see that art form in your backyard is something that is very important. So I think every city or every should have its own company, because the audience will gain from attending live performances.
Yeah.
Of course, the larger the city, the bigger the production and the offering, because again, there's more budget. But
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
but the quality and the experience is just different, and certainly as rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Jorge said that I think he's nailing it, and what I would add to that is just that in opera we have the unique thing that it's acoustic performance. It's people are not singing generally. I mean, now it's a little different, but generally are not singing with microphones. They're singing live produced, unaided singing out into the audience,
Yeah.
which is a unique thing compared to popular music with microphone and amplified and so forth and so on. So seeing that live in your backyard, as you say, or in your regional companies is a fantastic thing to experience. The
Yeah.
important thing about opera is the stories, the connection, the emotions. When you're dealing with smaller or bigger houses, okay, a bigger house might have a bigger budget, so they can have fancier sets, maybe, or maybe more people watching at once, or more technological things that can happen. But
Yeah.
the essential thing about opera that we react to, that makes us emotionally involved, is not those things. Those are nice add-ons, but that's not the essential thing.
Yeah.
And you can have the essential thing in regional or at the Met. I've some of the some of my favorite experiences of opera I've had in the last year. Now I'm biased, but they were in Jorge's performances, not necessarily at Met performances.
Yeah.
The he conducted at Williamsburg Pearl Fishers. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Really, really, very deeply moving and engaging.
Yeah.
He's done performances at Manhattan Opera Theater. Or, no, sorry, Manhattan School of Music with the senior class that were completely engaging, fun. They did Albert Herring last year. Incredible, completely fun and interesting. And it was a workshop type situation, but you didn't miss anything. It was
Yeah.
completely fun.
Yeah. Again, it's the experience that really gets to you, and it's so exciting. Sometimes it's just that's actually what made me do what I do.
Mm.
When I was 17, I had the arrogance to tell myself, and speaking to the conductor, which obviously couldn't hear me because it was in the middle of performance, and I said, "Dude, I can do this better. Come on." I said,
We've all had that experience.
I said, "What does this take? Come on, let me look into it. Let me look into it." Yeah. Plus, I was also surrounded by opera. It's not that I had many options.
Right.
So, and also, I'd like to remind everybody that in Italy, how towns were born. First, they build a church, then you build the opera house, and then you build all houses surrounding those two.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So, I mean, every opera is region. There is only one La Scala,
Right.
and then there's the San Carlo in Napoli. There's Bologna. There's Genova. I mean, probably 10. The rest is regional. It's tiny little things. That's how Giuseppe Verdi was born. In performing these little town theaters. So anyway, opera takes a ton of preparation, takes a ton of money, it takes a ton of marketing. It's not easy. We talked about cost with Brendan Cook from Delaware Opera Delaware, excuse me. Now with you, I would like to talk about the actual preparation, the musical preparation and whatnot that is involved as conductor. For conductors, I know what the answer is, but obviously I want to know what your answer is. And as pianist, I've done that too. I've been the repetiteur for a few opera companies. But how do you prepare? How many hours did you used to put into it 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago? Or how much are you doing now? Or is it the same? Howard, the word is yours.
Okay. You mean as far as my preparing before the before the cat rehearsal start?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you the ideal first. So, because as we know, with demands on time and becoming an adult and being busy, sometimes things don't happen as they would ideally. But in an ideal situation, I give myself plenty of time to be well familiar with the story and the libretto first. That's the first thing that comes. You need
Yep.
to know what it's all about. You need to be deeply involved in the language of it, able to pronounce everything. Um, then comes the music, because we're all pianists. So for me, the easy thing to do is to relatively easy thing to do is to sit down and play through
Yeah.
a score. But it doesn't have any meaning. I don't know anything that it's about if I haven't done that. I don't know anything that it's about. I don't know anything about the orchestration or why certain choices are made if I don't visit the language and the words first and libretto first. So I give myself time to do that, get familiar with the score. I admittedly think I learn fairly quickly, so that sometimes encourages procrastinating. But
Uh-huh.
but what needs to happen before I get to the first day of rehearsal, I need to be able to play through the whole score and sing any part at the same time. If I can do that, then I can coach and I can listen and I can be prepared to help somebody and be part of solutions to things. If I haven't gotten to that point, then I can just be the problem, and I don't want to be the problem. I'm supposed to be one of the adults. So, um, yeah, so I would say I have to give myself plenty of time for that. That's going to require really to get the words and to get the melody
Yeah.
and the feel of all that. That just is going to take time. I don't want to say sometime that somebody else should have to follow, but we're talking weeks and months and not days.
This is something very interesting for the people listening.
Yeah.
Uh, Story, language, meaning, and all of that, and then music.
Yeah, then music.
Yeah.
What happens with us pianists is if we sit, we've all sight read for voice lessons, we've all sight read for this or that. If we just sit down at the piano with the opera score and start to play, it's hard to get up from that, and it's easy to fool yourself into thinking that you really know the score.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Jorge.
Um, so well, it depends how much knowledge I have of the piece or not. If it's a piece that is absolutely new because I don't know any of the ensembles, let's say the first time I did Carmen, I knew many things from it, but I may not have known the whole piece. So then there's a different story. But let's say Frida by uh, Rodriguez. It was totally new piece. So um, if I can, I will listen to a recording.
Hmm.
I will. Um, I will play and read at the same times, but since I mean that's the opera in Spanish, but I can speak Italian, English, Spanish, and French. So I can play and read the story, but always playing with the idea of reading the libretto, not so much worry about what I'm actually playing, but just have an idea how the story is going and how it feels. I like to get familiar with the whole breadth of the piece, and then start. So I just do a read, and whatever happens happens. I don't care that is the accuracy of the reading. I
Yeah.
just want to have an idea how it feels, how it flows, how I react to the music, and then I will start doing more and more in details. I will just do a section of it and get more familiar with that. I try to understand the composition of it, how it is structured, and the relationship between the text and the music. Um, I will try to figure out how the vocal line feels in terms of what's easy, what's hard, what it will be effective to the audience or not. Um, and then eventually I usually get to the full score later than normally. I usually stay with the piano vocal
Oh, of course, yeah.
for a while, um, until I feel like I know the flow of the piece, and then I once I know the flow of the piece, I will go into the vocal into the full score, and try to start marking the piece and see how I going to organize the orchestral element. Of course, in the process, I will check with the full score to make sure that there's not information missing or
Yeah.
not much information missing in the vocal line and in the vocal score, which is that happens often. Something in a reduction doesn't show exactly how the instruments work, or it's written in a way that I don't know if are strings or woodwinds or a harp. So which, as you know, it will be a different behavior of the music and different pathos, and also different interaction with the singer. So um, and I think the hardest piece I had to do lately
I was about to ask you.
was that
I was about to ask you.
yeah, the harder ones I did lately was also a world premiere by Coppola, Anton Coppola, that
Oh,
unfortunately he just passed
yeah.
away. He passed away this year, actually a couple of months ago.
God
But
bless him.
he was 101 when he wrote it. No, he was 100 when he wrote it. He was 101 when we premiered, and I had the joy of working with him. He has a great energy, but the score was very hard to read, and it was all handwritten. You know what? Nowadays we're used to computer-generated
Yeah.
score. That his was all handwritten,
Wow.
the reduction and the orchestra, and then the reduction was hard to read.
So both were. Uh,
Everything was handwritten. Yeah. The text was handwritten, the scores, the music was handwritten, everything. Um, it was, I mean, fairly well done for a handwritten score, but it's still
yeah.
handwritten. So um, there's a lot of doubts and say, oh, is that a G or is that an F?
Yeah.
And things like that, which makes the reading harder. Um, and also the piece is a little complicated. It's not. It's still tonal, but it is a contemporary piece, so that took uh, longer than normal.
Just
And
time consuming, right?
yeah, exactly, much. So it was hard to just, sometimes because we say reads so easily, it's easy to get the idea in a day. But with this piece, you're just looking at this like, what is that? So there's a lot of issues with the reading,
Yeah.
and so it's hard to get the flow of the piece. So that took much longer, but we have sessions with him that was great, and he will actually talk to the score, not play but talk to the score and talk to the singers and how he will like it delivered, and then we work with the singers as to get used to it, and so that was very helpful. And then
Yeah.
we started the rehearsals, and then we get into the rehearsals Purcell. I mean, for the orchestras, he was present in the all rehearsals, and he actually conducted the first reading. He wanted
Nice.
to show how he wanted,
Good
but then
for him.
after that, he didn't do anything, and uh, he didn't interfere at all. So it was very generous and very sweet. He has a lot of notes, incredible. He has an amazing memory, but he was very generous and
Yeah.
easygoing. But
I
that was the longest. I don't know if longest. I don't know in terms of the how long it took, but it was much more stressful because it was a world premiere, so there was no recording. We didn't know how it sounded.
yeah.
We had to figure out from the score. The score was a little hard to read.
Yeah.
So all those things are playing against it, so it made
Yeah.
it much harder.
Yeah. Howard, it, it, it's a difficult question, but it's on the same lines as what Jorge was saying. a challenging piece. What was one of the most challenging pieces that you have had to play or learn, and why? Which for us in the business, for us musicians, has nothing to do with, oh, there's a lot of notes. No, it has nothing to do with that. What was it?
Well, the immediate one, the most recent and the immediate one that comes to mind is Rosenkavalier, but that's difficult for everybody. The difficulty there is just, first of all, it's a lot of German, a lot of fast spoken German.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing a piece that's in French or Italian or English, I can hold on to it better in my mind because of the language. The German, I work on a lot. I have it all translated there, but it doesn't. It's still too much of it just goes by, and it's going by so fast. And it's not unimportant that it's so difficult to play. It's really a lot to play. In Strauss, there's a lot of information there that's not all essential. So you have to have made a lot of decisions about how you think the music goes in your head and what you're actually going to play that allows you to represent the music in a playable way. If you're trying to play everything that's in these reductions, you end up not representing the music somehow.
Yeah.
And you're generally not able to make anything musical. It's just all triage.
Yeah.
So that was probably the most difficult thing I had to play, that I had to prepare recently. What's another? I used to at the Met, I used to be involved with a lot more newer pieces. I worked on First Emperor, American Tragedy of Picker. These are not new pieces, but Nixon in China and Dr. Atomic of Adams. And those were both tricky for what Jorge just articulated. He reminded me of this for Dr. Atomic. It's hard to look at it and have a sense of what it's supposed to sound like. I mean, I could hear a recording, but it still wasn't always clear in my mind what it's supposed to sound like, and so that makes it hard to coach. It makes it hard to do something in the rehearsal other than sound like a typewriter, and I don't want to do that. So
yeah. Plus in rehearsal, you have to do a lot of things. You have to follow a conductor. You have to listening for breathing. You have to listen for breathing. You have to play the million notes that you have to play.
Right.
You have to help. Like the orchestra doing a performance,
right.
We tend to help the singer somehow.
Yes.
And it varies, and you have to make a decision just like that. Oh, this person will run out of breath in about 4 seconds.
Right.
What can I do to be there for them?
Right. Well,
and
when
you have to do the same.
When you're the repetiteur in the rehearsal, there are a lot of things that you're doing that are not necessarily intuitive to people who are observing. There are ways that we're helping that are maybe not so obvious or so clear. If the conductor's doing a certain thing, we're always wanting to be with the conductor, of course. But the degree to which you're articulating or not articulating, how loud you're playing, how long has the rehearsal been going on, maybe you need to bring the energy down a little bit so you're not tiring everybody out. I've worked on the Ring a lot, so I know for these Ring operas, one can have a certain idea about how much you're going to play when you're in the room. But the reality is, if you rehearse Goethe-Dämmerung for 3 weeks, 6 or 7 hours a day, you need to commit to playing less and be fair to yourself and to your colleagues that you're not going to play, Tchaikovsky concerto every day for that amount of time. It's tiring for everybody, tiring for yourself, painful, hard on the ears, and doesn't help the process. You have to be wise about being part of that. So those decisions become, I find, quite trickier with Wagner, Strauss, Lulu. I've worked on Lulu a couple of times. It becomes very important in those pieces.
Yeah. So it's like you have to be mindful of others.
Absolutely.
It's like wearing a mask.
Plays well with others. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, let's not start the conversation, please, because now if I take off.
There we go.
Howard, you have a million young singers that want to sing at the Met. Jorge, you have young, when you play at MSM, when you coach, when you conduct at MSM, 89% of the students would like to sing at the Met. What do you both say to young singers after their bachelors, after their masters? Is there one path, or what's your suggestion for them? Let's Jorge, would you like to take it away?
So yes, we work with young singers or even singers in the early stage of the career all the time, and really there's no breaking or make it in the career really. I always tell, in a way, my story. I was born in a small town in the middle of the province of La Pampa, actually in Buenos Aires. But this 3,000 person little town, I studied at a small, you know, conservatory, not even a building, it was a living room of this piano teacher. I I eventually went to Buenos Aires and studied at the conservatory. And 10 years after that, I was teaching at Juilliard. So that doesn't make sense in a way. It's just how, just that's, so there's no, you
There's no
don't
one
know
path.
what's going to happen. So, but the only thing that I would say is that you just need to keep trying and allow yourself to to um, to explore as many opportunities as possible. Uh, um, I we always strive to get better, and so we need to keep studying and keep connecting with people. I think the more we know people, the more uh, uh, opportunities will happen. So be ready all the time. I think this is very, very important to do a good preparation before you arrive, so that makes you feel confident and you have a better result. So that is the main two things, right? So always be prepared and keep trying to do it. Just keep yourself active.
And ask if you need help, right?
That's right.
just just that you mentioned get in touch with people also,
Yes,
right? To just, if you need something, or if you have a question, just just reach out, because people, all of us are willing to help. All of us, we've been there for many
exactly.
years.
Yeah, yeah.
Many years. Howard, what would you say to young singers?
Um, I, I always, I'm always drawn to people who are, um, a little bit, I hope this is the right word, a little geeky about working really, really hard on the thing, making themselves better. Work on making themselves become the best singer you can. Work on your breathing, work on your technique, really polish it. A little more focus on that and a little less focus on what the actual path is, I find is valuable for people. We think that singing at the Met is, oh, my goal is I want to sing at the Met. No, your goal needs to be the best that you can be and to be amazing. A career can take a lot of different directions, and if you become the best singer in your church or in some church, that can be a fantastic career. That could be what was right for you to do. But the important thing is just to make yourself the absolute best that you can be, and like Jorge said, be prepared in every situation. And then people hear you and they hear you, oh wow, she's amazing and she can really do this and that, and I want to hire her again. Then the next person says that, and the next person, and next thing you know, you're in front of people at the Met singing for people, and you may have some success. But the preparation and the improving yourself first is the thing.
Mhm.
And if it happens that it leads you up the track to the Met, great. but don't start with that because that leads to the dreaded schmoozing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I've said this like in other talks, and I will keep on saying it every time. What my former conducting teacher, John Luigi Delmetti, was telling us all the time. He said, it's better to arrive 1 year too late than 1 minute too early.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So just calm down, prepare, and you will make it.
Right.
Just the focus is not when, the focus is you as your own musician. Just
Right.
work.
Right. Right.
Because making it, everybody wants success all the time. It's not about the success will come if you work hard for it. I want to feel. Obviously, it includes shaking hands, going to dinners,
Sure.
going to coffees, and all of that. So, but preparation is probably the most important thing that
All
needs.
those things, but never in the absence of the other thing.
There you go. Absolutely, absolutely. One last question. If Howard didn't become a pianist, what would he have done in life?
Well, before it's funny when I went to undergrad, I
Mhm.
started out studying um, um, science. I went to University of Dayton, and I was an engineering major.
Oh, that's right. You are an Ohioan, so you make
Yes.
Ohioans proud. Okay.
Yay! Yeah, I'm from Centerville, Ohio.
Nice, nice.
And my went to University of Dayton,
Uh-huh.
and my original goal was to be, oh my gosh, the phone. My original goal was to become a psychologist, actually, a
Really?
psychiatrist. I was interested in psychiatry,
Hmm.
and I think that was just the part of me that likes to connect to people in that way.
Yeah.
And eventually, I went into music. But I think I could have seen myself going down some kind of doctor, clinical psychologist kind of path.
Well, I know that you're doing a lot of psychology in this business, so
Yes.
you're probably still doing it. Uh,
Absolutely.
Jorge, how about you?
I well, I have a degree in advertising. I have a
Oh,
degree
wow.
in social media, let's say, social mass communication and advertising. I'm not sure if I would have done work in advertising because I require a lot of selling your product, but I like the creative element of it. I think some kind of art thing. I like to paint or draw. I don't know how would have been a profession out of it, but I didn't know how to make a profession out of it being a musician from my little town. So that's why I have another degree. When in my town there was no professional musicians. They were all music teachers or amateurs. So I didn't
Mhm.
know that you could be a professional musician. So I discovered that
Something
you
artistic,
could.
though.
What's that?
Something artistic. You
Right.
were not.
Definitely something like that. I mean, maybe advertising, some kind of communication.
Uh-huh.
I like. I'm not sure if I mean I'm not sure I like uh, doing interviews in terms of news, but I like to do hosting and talking. So that could have been
Nice,
uh,
nice.
something. I don't know.
But then you got sucked in by your own soul into something that is bigger than you. The
Uh,
same thing.
and I came to opera very late. The first opera I ever heard
Uh-huh.
was 17. So I never heard of any opera before that. I didn't even hear vocal music. And I started working with singers when I was 21. So that's also very late. But once I
You get hooked.
started working with vocal, I was so much into that because I like storytelling and I like poetry. So
Yep.
yeah,
There's nothing you can do. When it calls you, you
yeah.
just go. You fight it back, and it's at your own expense, your own mental expense, because there's nothing you can do. You just have to. You just have to go. You just have to do it.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Um, you already gave us, you gave a lot of your time. I know you both are very busy. Just very quickly, anything else, anything that is coming up for both of you that you want us to know?
We were telling that, so we're doing a show tomorrow, very strange. It's at 7 a.m., Saturday, 7 a.m., because it's actually being aired at 8 p.m. in Japan. So 8 p.m.
Lovely.
in Japan is 7 a.m. in New York, even earlier in the West Coast. But it's a really wonderful project that we've been working with a lot of singers and pianists from Japan and from all over the world. It is related to our summer program. I have a workshop in Japan called the Tokyo International Vocal Arts Academy, and we do a workshop there twice, 2 weeks in the summer. Unfortunately, this year we couldn't travel, so we decided to do an online concert, and we did a lot of recording, but we do a lot of live interviews and talk. And essentially, it's a live show with recorded performances, and that's tomorrow. And I think you're going to post the.
I'm going to post a link. Absolutely.
Great, thank
Absolutely.
you. But that's where we're going to do right now. And after that, we start working on Savannah. We are doing another festival in August, and we'll start again producing all the material. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's for Savannah Opera and Savannah Voice Festival and we love going to Savannah, but this year we decided that this festival will be all online. So we start working on that right away.
Japan and Savannah are very lucky to have you. Let me tell you that.
Thank you.
Very lucky.
It's happy to have you. I mean, it's amazing. You're so fortunate.
Thank you. You are wonderful people. I love you both to death.
Thank you so much.
I just can't wait to see you live again, because this is ridiculous. It replaces nothing. It's a little bit, but when things get better, health situation wise, I can't wait to see you and hopefully work together someday. That would be like a little dream of mine.
Oh, great. Well,
so
thank you to Scott.
Absolutely. I think he will see that. He's probably waving his hand to the screen right now. Thank you for being here with me. I loved having you. I hope you had a good time. And,
yes.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
And be safe, be healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Take care. All right.
Maestro.